You are listening to The Michael Lodge Show. Wealth, business, and taxes. Oh yeah, and some politics. Let's get started.
And good morning, this is Mike Lodge. I'm glad that you're here. I have some bad news this morning. I have no coffee in the house. I have had to resort to green tea. Now, I don't know why I have so much green tea in my house, but I've got 2 big old boxes full of it. And it's not just the normal green tea that you buy. It's this kind of green tea that is supposed to be more stronger than the average green tea. It comes in little things that you tear off, and then you pour it into the hot water and mix it up. But I'm telling you, the taste of it is bland. In fact, it just tastes like hot water with just a little tiny itty bitty speck of taste. It's not the same, right? When you sit down and you want to read and you want to think and you want to write and you're so looking forward to that cup of coffee and you got to pull up green tea. Now, I think the reason why I have so much green tea in my house is because I have read so many good things about green tea. One, it's supposed to help stimulate your brain. It's supposed to make your brain smarter. Think more clearly. It's supposed to be good for heart disease. It's good for the diabetes. It's good for, what else is it good for? A whole bunch of different things. I think there's like 5 good things that's out there that makes it good for your body. But it stinks when you taste it. It literally has no taste. And I'm thinking, why don't I have my coffee? Well, it's because I didn't go to the store and buy any. I bought everything else. I don't know if you've ever done this, but you go to the store to buy your food, right? And you're so intense about buying, the food that's going to make you live for the rest of the week. I completely forgot about coffee. Coffee is not one of those things that I think about when I'm shopping. If I pass the aisle, I grab it. But to think about it and put it on my list, I always forget it. And I have no idea. Maybe because I need to take more green tea so I remember. But the coffee in the morning is so good for me. I enjoy that one moment of the day that I can sit back, relax, and have a cup of coffee, do my reading, write in my journal. That's what I use coffee for. It's a prop to make me feel better as I'm doing all this stuff. And I usually have a cup of coffee when I'm doing my podcast, because I do these things early in the morning. But all that I have at the moment is green tea. It doesn't even sound the same. Watch this. Listen. Did you hear it? No, there wasn't anything there. Because it's tea. Now, if you're talking about other kinds of teas, I love mint tea and I love all those flavorful teas, but green tea has no taste. So, I guess the point is, if it has no taste, it's good for you. Gosh, life stinks when you don't have coffee. Listen, I wanted to go on with the art of negotiation and also mediation. Every day when we get up in the morning, you and I are going to negotiate. In some form or fashion, we are going to get up. And if you have children, the first thing that you do is begin negotiating. You begin mediating. Get up right now because we need to get to school. But Mom, just 5 more minutes. And then you start negotiating the time and how fast they need to get up. And then you negotiate who's going to pick people up from school and what sack lunches are you going to make and what activities are coming up and who's going to pick them up, who's going to drop them off. And the whole thing goes on. And then in business, as soon as you get into the office or sit down at your desk, because we're all just sitting down on a desk now, we begin the negotiation process. And it starts the moment we start opening our eyes in the morning. We begin to negotiate. Now, one thing that you need to remember is that negotiating is to build, especially in business, Negotiating is to build professional relationships rather than burning bridges on the way out of the conference room or out of the Zoom room now. Remember, negotiations, a lot of times when we sit down and we begin to talk about what direction we want to go and how to resolve the issue, many of us go in there saying, I'm going to get what I want and I'm not going to listen to anybody else. My way or the highway. It happens so many times. I know I used to be that way. I used to get into my negotiations, and the problem is that I found that I wasn't grown up because I was bringing emotions into the boardroom. And I was bringing it into the negotiating room. And when you start bringing in those emotions, you completely listen to what offers are on the table, what possibilities are sitting there. I have come out of mediations where the relationship between the two adversaries became stronger because they saw that, yes, they disagreed on the issue at hand and were focused on the issue at hand, but they could also see other possibilities, other options available to them to consider in their business relationship. Those are the good guys. Then you have other guys that come in and they just want to pound you. They want to do everything they can to humiliate you and to destroy you. I see that a lot in business negotiations, especially in marriage, divorce situations. Both of them want to destroy each other. And then there are other people that come in, they just want to end it and they want to settle things very fairly. But in business, if you have that emotions coming into your negotiations, you're blinded. You literally become blinded, and you can't see what the other options are out there, or what you can present as an option, what you can put on the table. When those emotions get involved, your brain goes dead because you're so focused on getting what you want, but you're not focused on listening to what possibilities are there and what future possibilities are there. I have literally seen people leave the negotiating table shaking hands and looking forward to work with each other. There were no emotions on the table. What was there were two parties wanting to resolve the issue and move forward. And when that thought process clicks into individuals, they have a whole new world of opportunities that they can still work together. Even though they have this disagreement, they came into mediation and the disagreement was resolved and they saw the other opportunities that sit before them. It really is an amazing experience to get involved in those types of mediation and negotiations. Now, I used to have this boss, very bright guy, master's degree from Harvard University in business, vice president of finance for an energy company. But he had one thing that almost destroyed him every single time when he sat down at the table. His emotions got so out of hand that he began yelling at the top of his voice, and pretty soon all that you heard were people hanging up on him because they didn't want to deal with his type of negotiation. His emotions got so entangled in his thought process that he completely forgot about, okay, this guy is an investor. He's a banker also. He's invested in my project, and here I am yelling at him. What kind of opportunities do you think is going to be down the road with that individual who just invested $300 million in your project? Emotions curtail the ability to really think about relationships. Negotiations are about relationships. It's about building a stronger relationship with that other party. Yes, you have a dispute, but disputes through mediation get resolved. Because you've got a mediator sitting there guiding you and pointing you into where you need to focus on resolving this issue. But if you bring emotions into it and anger into it, then you walk out of the meeting with nothing in your hands except more grief and more frustrations. And now, possibly even much more expensive litigation. Negotiations is a part of every one of our lives. And if we're able to resolve our conflicts or disputes, minus the emotional feelings, I know it's very difficult to do, but it can be done. Because you need to focus on the objective that you need to get to. It doesn't mean that you're sitting there calling people names and ridiculing them and pointing fingers, making threats. Those kind of negotiations very seldom work themselves out. But the individual who goes into a mediation or a negotiation and sits there and listens, takes notes, writes down ideas, listen to what possibilities are being presented and the way to work together in the future, that guy will never burn the bridge. That individual will never burn that bridge because he sees an opportunity. But the emotional individual that comes in is going to burn the bridge. And then pretty soon that bridge, they put up a toll road, and it becomes much more expensive to do any business with that individual again. In fact, you may never do business again. Let me take another sip of my beautiful green tea. Just one moment. That's the worst tasting stuff ever, I tell you. I had to lace it with sugar just to make it drinkable this morning because it just is not. It has no taste, okay? But in negotiations, both of you are sitting down together to resolve a conflict or a dispute about a disagreement on how things should be done. Now listen, it happens inside businesses also. Sometimes you may have a project team. And the project team, 5 of the project team says we should go in this direction, and the other 5 of the project team says, no, we need to go in the other direction. And as a leader of that team or of that company, when you see a conflict, you need to bring in a third party so that you can get these two back into the middle of the room again and focus on the issue in the best result that you can possibly get through mediation and through negotiation. I've seen it happen so many different times, especially between boards of directors. When you've got members of that board who see things totally different and they're fighting you tooth and nail, it's time that you sit down with those individuals and work things out, negotiate a better plan. Sometimes, I know, because I'm the same way, being this human being that we are, we think that we know best. And sometimes we shut off our microphones in our ears, or the speakers in our ears, I guess, and we shut them off, and we don't listen to what's actually being said. Happens all the time. That's why every place that I go, I have a notepad with me. Well, it's not my notepad. It is called my journal. And I keep track of conversations and what people are saying. Because after I meet with those individuals, I go back and I read my notes and I say, my goodness, you know what? We have some opportunity here. We have an opportunity to do and tweak something so it makes it better. And when I go back into the mediation room with these individuals, I can literally then guide them with questions. I already know what my questions are going to be because I've reviewed my notes of what has been said. But it's that art of listening and that art of seeing that there's a potential here to resolve the issue. If I put my emotions outside the door. Many, many times I've seen people come to the divorce table and they are mad as hell and they want to fight. They want to question everything that's going on. So the mediation drags on because they don't want to resolve it. They just want to give the other side a tough time because their emotions have taken over. Instead of resolving the issue, they make the issue prolonged. It keeps going and going and going. Instead of putting the emotions to the side and say, okay, I've got to resolve this and I've got to move forward. What are my opportunities here and what can I put on the table to resolve it? Their emotions are much stronger than their thought process. And if they were to take the emotional side out, you know what? Things were said. People said this. People did this. Everything happened. It's done with. Now I need to focus on me and what I need to do. Okay, what is the other side saying? And how can we work this out so it's an opportunity for both to move forward? Happens all the time. So the point of it is that we are an emotional people. And when we're in business, we're in the corporate world, or even in our families, we need to learn how to listen without the emotion. We need to be able to negotiate and putting the emotional side in another room. If you want to feel sorry for yourself later on, just put that emotion in the other side and you can go back to it at another time and you can make yourself feel all wonderful and lovey-dovey because now you're back with your emotions. That's fine. But when you're in negotiations, put the emotions to the side. That is the hardest job that you will ever find to do. You may be a scientist where you are developing and making all kinds of wonderful inventions, but when it comes to the part of putting your emotions on check, that would be the hardest thing that you will ever do. That doesn't mean that you have to lose your emotions. No. You don't need to do that. But you need to put them on check and you need to put it to the side so that you can focus on what the objective of the negotiation process is all about. I hope that makes sense. So I'll repeat the subject one more time. My opening statement one more time. I'll repeat it one more time. And what my opening statement said, negotiating is to build professional relationships rather than burning bridges on your way out of the conference room. Because if you're burning bridges, your emotions took over. Listen, if you would like to follow me, all my blogs and vlogs and podcasts and everything else that I do, you can follow me at www.buymeacoffee.com/Michael Lodge. Again, that's www.buymeacoffee.com/Michael Lodge. Lodge. That's how you spell my last name. A lot of you do it Hodge. No, it's Lodge, Lodge. If you have any business questions or mediation questions or any kind of question, send it to me at mediator at lodge, lodge-co.com. Again, that's mediator at lodge, lodge-co.com. Everybody go out and have a great day. Hey, we have opportunities out there. Let's find them. Let's listen for them. Let's write it down. But let's not become emotional. And those of you who would like to donate some coffee, just let me know. Okay, everybody go out and have a great day. I'll talk with you soon. Bye-bye. This podcast has been produced by Michael Lodge, fully focused on content.